So we are moving on to part 2. We're now officially 25% done. Is it the easiest 25%? I really don't know. It's up to you. Part 2 starts with a little bit of history, just to give you some idea of why we need to look at number systems that happened in the past at all. Why do we need to know this? One answer to that is it gives you some appreciation for where we came from in some small way at least. You can read through chapter 4. It's not long. It's barely 3 pages. Just for interest's sake, there's nothing that's going to be tested on that. It's just some small summary of information. Is that hot?
Very hot.
So I encourage you to read through it. It's not going to take you long, and it's good to just know a little bit. Right? What were the struggles that people faced? We're so used to our technology, it's hard to imagine the struggles that people face to do basic things like keep track of numbers, writing, things like that. What do you do if you simply don't have any paper substance, material, anything? What do? You have to be really creative. And it's really impressive how civilizations flourished with those limitations. We're going to focus on 2 civilizations. There are many others, but I like these 2 because it is linked to our number system, to how we count and write numbers and think of numbers. And we still see them in the world today, regardless of how small a part it plays, it is still there if you go and look for it. Whereas the other historic number systems, they're not necessarily visible in the world today. But the 2 we're going to focus on are Chapter 5, Roman numerals. Some would say the easier one, maybe because of your familiarity with it. So I'll do that one first. Now, many of us already know some Roman numerals. It's not a completely foreign number system. We're just going to lay the foundation, practice it a little bit. How do I convert between a Roman number and our decimal system? Back and forth, and how do I perform arithmetic, and we're done. And we'll do that for 2 number systems only. So the Romans had the benefit of being able to write numbers, whether it's chalk on a tablet or something. The process of writing was already established. So they chose to use familiar letters to represent quantities. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to represent a quantity so that if trading takes place, we can keep track of who owes what and how big a plot of land is assigned to someone, how large is your military deployment, all kinds of things. Numbers are everywhere. You just cannot avoid it. As much as people like to think they can avoid any mathematical knowledge, numbers and arithmetic fall into that. And we can't, our society is built on numbers. We can't avoid it. And just like there, in that time, they couldn't avoid it either. If they wanted to be successful, they needed to first of all, be accurate in how they represent their numbers, how they write it down, so that they can communicate effectively and keep a record effectively as well. So, for So let's say here the quantity, and I want to think about it as a quantity, not as our numbers. It's a quantity of objects that I'm counting and representing that by way of what we call a Roman numeral in this case. So the quantity, if I have one thing, whatever that may be, one soldier, one unit of land, whatever that the object may be, that is represented by the letter I. Again, many of you are familiar, but maybe not all of them. As we go, maybe there are some new things that come up. 5 objects, well, in our language we call it 5. They, of course, did not have English. They had their own language. And so also their own written number language. That was represented by a V. And then the quantities increase, so the dot making process will be a little tedious. So I'll just write here, we represent that quantity by the 5, and they did. We represent that quantity with a 1. So whether you draw the objects to count them, or whatever representation, this was their representation of that quantity. And then the quantity of 10, you can draw 10 little stones, 10 little circles, was represented with an X. Can we squeeze it in over here, hopefully? Quantity and Roman numeral. Quantity of 50 was represented with an L. Maybe the less familiar one. It's okay, well, be down to on the list. She doesn't like the L. The elephants are on a personal level. It's one you don't see often. 100. Maybe she'll reconsider and come back. We can only hope. C for century. That's 100. Then we have 500 objects, whatever that may be. That will be a D. And of course, these letters also evolved over time, and there's some theories about where these come from. But it's a little bit part speculation, part actual fact. So I'm not going to go into that. 1,000. Think millennium. M. And that was it. Their numbers weren't as big as ours are now. They didn't have a need for larger quantities than this at the time that the number system was established. So that's all it is. Do you know all those already? I have no shame in admitting the first time I taught this, maybe too many years ago, I didn't know the L. I've never seen L. It doesn't come up as much as the others. Many of them are familiar. Now there are some rules, because in order for a civilization to develop and flourish, you need effective communication, meaning that information doesn't travel as fast as it does now. So if you're on one side of the country, of the civilization, and you're trying to communicate to someone else, you write some information, you send it to a runner, he goes and takes it to wherever the destination is. It might take a long time. And you want to make sure that the way you write your numbers is the same as the person on the other side, so that they can understand you and you can understand them. And because information travels so slowly, if you don't have specific rules, civilization-wide, things could slowly unravel over time. And before you know it, the way you write numbers isn't the same as the way the other side of the country writes numbers. You can't communicate anymore, everything falls apart. So the key to success is to have very specific rules so that everyone writes a quantity in the same way. So the extra little rules were, for now, no more than 3 of the letter in a row. Really just for convenience. So I'm not going to have four of any letter in a row. I'm not going to have 4 I's, 4 D's, for anything. It's just too long. And those limitations, we'll have to see what does that require. That's 1. I'm never going to use 2 V's because 2 5s make a 10, and I have a symbol for 10. I don't need 2 of these. There's a better symbol that I'll use instead, which is then the same issue for 2 L's. I'll have a C instead. 2 D's, I'll have an M instead. And those rules have to be made clear because if someone writes 2 V's, I might not know what that means. You write an X instead. Every quantity can have only one representation. So we'll never use multiple V's, L's, and D's. The 5 and 50 and 500. You're not going to have multiples of those because you have the next letter covers 2 of them already. So you're only going to have 1 of them. And then just like we would write, they wrote left to right as well. So let's say here we write left to right, larger to smaller letter values. So if I'm going to write 101, let's have an example here, very small example. 101 would be represented, let me check, am I on camera or not? 101 would go from high to low, C for 100, and I for 1, left to right. So it goes down in size as I go left to right. There is a little typo in the second to last line, chapter 5. The letters V, L, and D are not repeated in a row. Not sure how the way that word came in. Made no sense to me. So let's practice some examples to get used to this. Some people are already very used to it, and that's not a requirement. I'm going on the assumption that you've never seen Roman numerals in your life. And if you had, it just makes it a little bit easier, but it's not expected at all. This is exercise 5.1, and of course, as we go through, if you have a question at one time, just stop. There's no time issue, I'm not in a hurry. I want to go at a pace and say things in a way that everyone understands at every stage. Everyone is happy and understands. No mystery. And if there's anything that I'm maybe not saying the way you want to hear it, just let me know. We can repeat things 5 times. We have time for that. First example is, I guess this is number 1 in that example set. State the decimal number, which is our numbers, the way we write numbers, for the following Roman number. So we have to be able to convert both ways. Given a Roman number, how would we write that quantity? So read and interpret the Roman number. Given a number the way we would write it, how would the Romans write it? Two-way conversion. That's the type of question you will definitely see in a quiz. So the first one is CCVII. I like to write the I's like that just because it looks pretty. But there are 3 separate I's. I go left to right, interpret each letter. Now I'll do it in detail for now, but eventually we just write the answer. You don't have to show any work if you don't want to. It depends on how easy it is for you. That's the question, right? Yeah. So I have technically 100, then another C, then a 5, then 1, 1, 1. Okay, just to show the detail, because it's the very first example. Giving us 208. So we say it's additive because we're taking the value of each letter and adding them all up. And again, do not feel embarrassed or shy to ask any question. Don't wait for me to ask, are there any questions? Ask them whenever they come up. This is your course, you need to understand what we're doing. Then we'll look at B. D, C, X, X, V. So of course the key here is you have to understand what those letters represent. So if there are letters that you aren't familiar with, of course memorizing those letters and their value has to come first. So in this case, we have a 500, the C is 100, the X is a 10, then I have another X and a 5. Often we group numbers that are similar, it could be up to 3 in a row, group them together, and you can just write 20 if you want. You could write nothing and just write the answer. It's totally optional how much detail you want to write. Let's write the answer over here. So I get 625. Additive. I add them all together. And I don't want to go too fast, assuming you've seen this before. Yes?
What about fours?
We're getting to that.
Okay.
One thing at a time. This is the first step. Definitely not the complete picture yet. Because of our rules that we set over there, the rules have to be expanded a little. But for now, we're just getting used to knowing what each of these letters mean. Because we can't move on without that. Then the last one, C, we have M, C, C, L, and 3 I's. I'm not going to write an equal here. I'll write an arrow. Meaning this corresponds to a numerical value. The way we would write it. To them, this is the numerical value. And this would be extremely foreign to them. It's hard to imagine growing up and this is your numbers. You don't know anything else. It's as natural as that is to us. It's hard to imagine. So 1,000. I have 2 C's. I can group them together as a 200. So whatever you prefer. I have an L. That's a 50. And I can have the 3 together, 3 I's, to give me an answer of 1,253. I hope you agree that this isn't difficult at all. It shouldn't be. A number system should be efficient and easy to use. Because you want, well now at that time, not everyone could count and write down numbers, but you want it to be as accessible as possible. Now you have the reverse question. Yes?
What are the rules if you can't write more than 3?
We're getting to it.
Letter.
We're getting to it. She asked already. You just have to be patient. Because I don't want to assume this is easy for everyone. We're just getting used to the letters. Not everyone is used to it. So if I pile on new things too fast, it might be too much for some. Just hold on. Patience. Second one is converting the other way. First number is 582. If you write an equal, it's fine. I just don't. Just break it up. So we can say first, well, it's 582. So that's going to correspond to a D. I'm not writing a plus now. 80. 80 is what? Well, I can break 80 up as 50 and 3 tenths. So it's going to be L x, x, x. It's 50, 60, 70, 80, and 2 i's. So you're really just breaking it up and adding them all together. That was A, I guess. B. 2053. And again, stop me if I need to elaborate on anything. 2000. In this case, there are no hundreds. 53. You can have more detail, but I don't think we need it. So 2000 will be 2 m's, then a 50, and a 3. Go ahead and do it. C part 2 starts out very easy. It could stay very easy if we just build things up correctly. C, 168 will be 100, 60, and 8. So just do them in an additive way. 100 first, because it's the bigger one. Whoopsie. So a C, 60 will be a 50 and a 10. 8 will be a 5 and 3 ones. Any questions on this first conversion back and forth? I'm not trying to bore you either, but I want to make sure everyone starts out at the same level before we build on that level. Now, of course, as some of you have noticed, that the rule of not having or not allowing more than 3 of the same letter in one in a row could present a problem, because now what about representing 4? I'm not allowed to do or to write 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not allowed. Because over the larger numbers, the length of the representation would be too long. So they decided on a 3 to just keep the length in check a little bit, which means I need to adapt the system or expand on it to allow for writing a quantity of 4, representing a quantity. If that's not allowed, then what is allowed? We include subtractive pair. You can call it what you want. I, V. Where now for the first time, a smaller letter comes before a larger letter. That will indicate subtraction. That will indicate 5 minus 1. 1 less than 5. And 1 before 5 is 4. So this will represent the quantity 4. Subtractive property. We have the same issue. Same issue for 9. For, let's do it over here then. Include the, so here, the quantity, and then the Roman representation of that quantity. Let's do it like that in a table again. So we have 4 as our quantity, and that will correspond to 1 less than 5. We also have an issue with 9, because I'll erase this in a second. It's not going to be 5 and 4 ones. That's not allowed. Instead, it's going to be 1 less than 10. We also have an issue with 40, in the same way as we did 4. but now it's going to be 10 less than 50. We also have an issue with 90. So now we're going to add this special pair to be 10 less than 100. And we also have an issue with 400 and 900. 400 will be 100 less than 500, and 900 will be represented by 100 less than 1,000. So we only have these 6 special subtractive pairs that needs to be added to my list. That's the only time where a smaller letter is going to appear before a larger letter. Anywhere, any other way, and it's not a valid representation. All right? So let's look at some examples with that. So that helps us to now memorize these new special pairs. Example 5.2. 1 again. Convert back and forth. First one is given the Roman number. How do you convert it to a decimal number? CCIV. So one way to be safe is look wherever a smaller letter appears before a larger one and isolate that pair. That's going to be one of my special pairs. If not, then it's not valid. Only those are valid. So this is going to be 204. You don't have to show any calculation. You just find the answer in whatever way you want. Any questions on that? You are happy with that so far? Was that your question? It's so quiet. It's too quiet. Shouldn't it be all happy because we're coming off quiz B that went well for most of us? No?
Maybe we just know we need to take really good notes and stuff now.
Fair enough, fair enough. The nice thing with the manual is it's all in here. And you can honestly sit back and just listen and then review. Everything's in there. And if you ever find that I said something in class and it's not in here, just let me know. If you see any typos, let me know. I've seen many typos. No one has let me know. Which makes me think, I'm not sure if you're reading this or you just don't care to let me know. Which
I'm using an orange highlighter and I'll give you the book back at the end of the term.
Oh, all right, all right. That would work too, yeah. Next one. XXV. First of all, is that I could ask you in a quiz, I give you a Roman numeral, Roman number. Is it valid or not? Are you allowed? You're a scribe in the Roman Empire. Are you allowed to write that? Or will you lose a hand or whatever they do?
Looks wrong to me. That is wrong. But I'm still winning.
Exactly. There's no wrong answers. Is there ever a small letter in front of a big one? That's really what I watch out for, right? Yes, here. If that occurs, it has to be one of the valid pairs, the 6 pairs. Is it one of the 6 pairs? Yes, it is. So that is a 90, but with 2 other x's. So what is it trying to represent?
105.
So if we say, okay, well that is a valid pair, sure. That is trying to represent 90. But here's another 10 and another 10 representing 20, which would make this, okay, the 5 is good, right? Everyone's happy with the 5. It's doing its own thing. It's not part of the mess. It's innocent. So it's additive after that. After those pairs, everything's added together. So this is trying to be 110 plus the 5. Is that the way I should write 110? No. So this is not valid. 110 should be represented by 100. Oh, sorry, I have 115. Sorry, 15. Right. The 5 isn't really the issue. 100 plus 10 plus 5, which would mean C for 100, X for a 10, and V for a 5. So it's not just the issue with seeing a valid pair or not. We're starting to hopefully see that every time we're splitting it up into hundreds, tens, and 5s, or more if we have a bigger number. So the Roman number system is actually very close. So this would be how you represent it if this wasn't valid. The Roman number system is actually very close to ours, in that it's still counting the same place values as we are. Ones, or units, tens, hundreds, and so on, just like we are. So if we think of it like that, then we can more easily examine a Roman numeral and make it ourselves. So let's just note that first before looking at the other examples. That helps me a lot to realize that this is essentially a decimal system. The Roman number system is essentially decimal. Deci meaning 10. It's a 10, how should I say, a base 10 system, in that I'm counting ones, tens, hundreds, which is a power of 10, thousands, and so on. Just like we do now. They do the same thing in the Roman system. So if I say randomly, I'm just going to make a random example. Oh, so we're still counting here. Let's do it like this. We have ones, or units, tens, hundreds, thousands, and more, but we'll get to that later. Ones could be, as an example, there could be an I, there could be an IV. Those are all valid representations of a number less than 10. Numbers in the tens, well, a 10, 50, maybe a 60, oops, 60 is okay, maybe 40, 90. Those are all in the tens, right? So if I have a number broken up like this, that means the tens portion of that number has to be taken care of by its representation. I can't do some of it and then later some more of it. It has to be all done at once, either by a subtractive pair or just the tens and 50 combinations, like that, for example. I can't do it a little bit and then a little bit later, because it could add up to something actually bigger, putting me in the wrong column. So there are more rules that is sort of determined by this decimal property. Hundreds, maybe 200, maybe 600, 900. But we're not going to have like, how should I say it? We're not going to have 400 and then add another 100, trying to represent 500. There's a symbol for 500. So I'm not doing sum in a column. I'm not doing some of it and then another little bit and adding them together. No. You take care of each column separately with its most appropriate and concise representation. Thousands, well, an M for now, maybe a couple of M's. For now, we'll stop there. So keeping the decimal property in mind will help me to easily spot invalid representations and make valid ones. Does that make sense? So it's actually very familiar, apart from the letter memorization. It's very familiar. That's exactly how we represent numbers. Not foreign at all. Not foreign at all. Which makes it easier. The more familiar it is, the easier it is. So let's look at that third one. So that question technically has a little bit of a typo. The questions in the quiz will probably also say, as this one should, determine if it's valid or not, and if it's valid, do the conversion. Always have to determine if it's valid or not. But it'll say that. It's not going to try and be a trick question. I should correct that. C, hopefully that one is valid, but we don't know. MCCL triple I. MCCL and 3 I's. Valid or not?
Valid.
Does it go? The only issue is more than 3 in a row and going large to small. If there's something that doesn't fit with that, that could be invalid. Yeah.
Isn't that the wrong question?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is it Friday yet? It feels like Friday. I was sitting on the couch. I catch the 9:15 bus. I was sitting on the couch, doing my thing, thinking it's early. 9:14. I'm not interested. Thinking it's summer. Maybe the rain will actually help with that. That you stop thinking it's summer. Not that I want the rain. I don't mean it. I didn't mean it. Don't go away. It'd be one of the last sunny days. Sad place. Okay, valid or not? What do I look out for that would make it not valid, potentially? Well, more than 3 in a row, that's not happening, so I'm good with that. Then I'm looking for a small in front of a big. I see small in front of big there, small in front of big here, and there. Oh man, that's terrible. Starting with the small ones, IV, is that okay? Yeah, so that part's good. And that would be a 5. It's fine. XL, well XL. That's then obviously trying to count the tens. Yes.
Isn't it 4, not 5?
Oh man, it's not my day, okay? Thinking of the sun. Should not open the window. XL is then trying to count the tens column. And then trying to be a 40. So then, what are these guys trying to count? It's trying to count the hundreds. The tens are done here. Tens. So it can't be anywhere else. The ones are done here. So it can't be mixed with other things. They're very much separated. What is this guy trying to do? Oh dear. This does not look good. This is trying to be a 900 and then adding 2 more hundreds. You can't, if you're counting the hundreds, you have to do it in one go. You can't have pieces and then think, I'm going to add them together and roll over to 1,000. No. No. So this is making it not valid. What is it trying to represent? Trying, oh, let's just say here, to represent, what is this trying to be? 1144? We've shown that my arithmetic today is not at its best, so please check. 1144 is what it's trying to do, but it's not doing it in a valid way. To represent that, we would have to say thousands, hundreds, tens. There I need a pair. And for the ones, I need a pair as well. One grouping at a time. Just like we count. Exactly like we're taught to count. They teach the kids over and over, write out the hundreds. They write in the words. It's so tedious. 1,000, 1,500. Oh, it's just so tedious. But they have to emphasize the systematic building of the number. Comments, questions? Zero. Too easy?
Easy.
Right away from quiz B. Good. I'm not trying to make it difficult. I'm just trying to make it informative so that we can do it. What time is it? Again, this is going to take us as long as it takes us. It doesn't matter. We go until we're done and then we stop. Number 2 is now the other way, where, of course, it's not a question of valid or invalid. It's a decimal number. I just have to convert it. So 694. You know, I'm going to actually stop with this one. So we have time to think about it. And I'm actually going to ask volunteers to come up and write the answer. Most of you are going to be teachers anyway. You should be comfortable in front. Shouldn't you? It doesn't have to be right or wrong. She can trick you. You have to watch.
Okay.
She looks as if she can scam you. The nice thing that she came up to write it, she's now free to not say anything ever again. So someone else has to figure out or determine if it's correct or not. Who, by a show of hands, says it is correct? All right, that's the point. Good. Any questions on that? It was a little fast. Maybe we may need to think about it a little bit. But focus on just the hundreds. 600. So that would be this one. Just 90 on its own. That needs a special pair, and 4 needs a special pair as well. Any questions? It is easy. It should be easy. They were very successful in their civilization. Maybe a little greedy, but it's got nothing to do with their number system. Their number system allowed them to be successful. So it shouldn't be too complicated. 2,000, I'm looking at the wrong one again. 2,991. Now I know that you're just itching to get up and show your board writing skills. Don't be shy, safe space. Yep. A lot of pressure. Okay, no pressure. So, 1 digit at a time. 2,000, 2 M's. 900, that needs a special pair. So there could be M's and there could be M's. This M is tied to the pair. So that's totally fine. Because it stayed, this is in the hundreds column, that was in the thousands. Then a 90, that's a special pair as well. And I'm going to write an I there just to show it's not a 1. But, yep. You can write a little line however you want. Questions, comments, criticisms on him, on me? All right, one more. Oh, it's a small one. Oh, that's okay. Can't change it now. 89. What about the following? While you are eager to get up, what about the following representation? That's good. What did I try to do there? I wrote 90, one less than 90. 89. Now the problem is, on one side of the region I write that to say, oh, this person got 89 chickens or whatever. Then I send it to the other side of the region. They have no idea how to interpret that number because that's not part of the rule. And slowly that happens more and more, and we just can't communicate anymore. That is very much nonsense. Who wants to correct my mistakes? Your last chance was there. You're going to go home and you're going to think, man, I wish I got off and wrote something on the board. Now I can never do it again. Think about it. You know you want to. No one wants to. You're going to be teachers. You can't double up, sorry. Unless no one wants to, then I appreciate it. Teachers, how I knew I wanted to teach was we had a project to do and someone came a little late and I explained it to her again. And by doing that on the board, thank you, I realized, dude, this is fun. I should make a living out of this. Until you do it, you don't know. Do they even have blackboards in schools anymore? They should have some kind of board. Probably whiteboards. Smart? Ooh, wow. Shows how old I am. Can't beat the classic. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes? So, only 2 digits, one at a time. 80. That's this one. 3 X's are okay. 9. That's this one. Don't look at that and say, oh, but there are 4 X's. No, they are in completely different places. One is in the tens, 3 of them, and the other one is part of a special pair in the ones. That's perfectly fine.
Please remember to click the like button if you enjoyed the video, and to subscribe if you want to be notified of more videos. Thank you.